Hey everyone, it's Alex Miller at Papillon here. You may have seen in the news today that Apple's in a little bit of trouble for an AI feature gone wrong. And I thought this was a good opportunity to talk about the importance and the difficulty of quality control in doing artificial intelligence well, and a little bit edgier, my personal sense that it is unlikely to ever go away as a challenge you have to confront. So the feature that got Apple in trouble is that they were pushing notifications generated by AI about current events from news articles, and they were wrong. And this is a big black eye for Apple. They would have really liked, for various reasons, to have known this was a problem and never rolled the feature out or caught it on their own relatively quickly. When what happened was that a variety of media outlets had to complain more or less in public that their news articles were being mischaracterized, and I think pretty badly in a lot of cases, it sounds like, by this AI pushing notifications to people's Apple phones. You might have heard of the hallucination problem, and I think it's pretty important for business trying to get a handle on LLM right now. This is the idea that every once in a while, ChatGPT or Gemini or your favorite large language model will make stuff up. And if you're looking to it for factual information or to be some kind of expert, well, this is really, really bad. I think, at least in the LLM case, and probably more broadly, you can't really expect to ever all the way get a handle on this problem. A large language model is something that you're expecting both to answer detailed questions about any topic, handle all this factual information very carefully, and in the next sentence, potentially, it's supposed to be ready to be a comedy improv partner. And even if you don't ask it to do that, all of that machinery is inside of it. And there's always danger about it essentially getting confused about what kind of discourse it's doing. And I have a sense this is a major source of hallucinations and one you're not really going to get rid of. So I have a couple metaphors that I like for this that I'll share with you. One time when I was in graduate school, I got a book from the library about aerodynamics, and I didn't read it outside of the first page. But the first page was interesting, and it said something I felt bad I had never thought about before. If you're designing an airplane, stability and maneuverability are fundamentally opposed. Stability being that the plane keeps flying in a straight line, and maneuverability being that you can get the plane to not keep flying in a straight line. This is pretty much self-evident. These are contradictory goals you might have for designing the plane. I think this applies to AI very well, unfortunately, also, in that, well, if you want it to be able to do absolutely anything, the more that's true, the more you have to worry about the wrong something leaking out. And large language models are very much down the road of, if they were airplanes, we want them to be very, very maneuverable. And I suspect at some point, in some mathematically rigorous, unavoidable way, this is going to turn out to be just fundamentally opposed to the stability of not saying weird stuff when you don't know if it's true or not. Also, going back to graduate school and having dealt with a lot of really, really smart people, it's not really how it works that being smart is the same as doing a good job at what some big corporation wants you to do. So if you hired some super genius, instead of we've got AGI, just imagine that you're hiring at your company someone who's just a real super duper genius beyond anything that you personally can imagine. Well, it's going to be hard to supervise this person. They have the ability to get confused in directions that you can't comprehend. And probably at times, and I would say this happens in the data science world in a way, they're going to get obsessed with things and confused and go off in weird directions that people on the business side are not really going to understand and would not anticipate without direct prior experience. So it's the same idea of if you're wanting a lot intellectually, you're wanting something or someone to cover a lot of ground and be able to respond to you snapping your fingers, to know something or summarize something, the more it's true that something is maneuverable, inevitably, the less stable it's going to be. So you hear terms like human in the loop is a great one. If you're doing something with AI, who is the human that's in the loop that's going to notice that it's not working correctly? And does that human have the ability to impactfully, it's broken, somebody get in here, or not? And if you don't do a good job with that, there's a lot of potential to get embarrassed. I think in the case of Apple's bad notifications, once again, probably models can get better and fix it, but there will be another thing like this. And until someone somewhere is doing a good job of human in the loop, I don't think it is possible to permanently avoid these things. Closing thoughts for people that are worried about not having a job. I always tell people, I think the right way to think about AI most of the time is about enhancing humans and not replacing them. And as time goes on, I'm more and more convinced a lot of the interesting action is even of a nature people and AI collaborating is really where the action is. And collaboration, especially between two slightly cognitively different creatures, is very powerful. And also it bakes the human in the loop in automatically. So if you're working on an AI project, especially something that's going to get vaguely into production and be seen to the outside world, think about the human in the loop and quality control, maybe before you think about having a newer, fancier model. The newer, fancier model is not necessarily going to make these problems easier for you, and there's going to be a lot of potential, honestly, for it to fly off the handle in a new and exciting high-tech way.